Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel for this episode 19 here on Monteith with me, Farmer Murphy. Well, it is the last day of September here on the farm. Next month the harvest should be in full swing. Now, if all went according to plan, you should have seen the episode open up with a short cinematic. Now, when I started recording that footage, I actually had picture-in-picture in mind, and then partway through that process, I shifted gears. So hopefully it worked out well. I guess you will have already seen that. But for me, right at this point in time, editing that is still in my future. I wanted to use the cinematic to reduce some of what I'm doing right now, this stand and deliver style that I've kind of fallen into. Now, when I first started my channel, there were real world reasons why this style worked for me, but they don't necessarily apply anymore. And I want to kind of break this habit so I can get more what I hope will be entertaining a start to my episodes, but still get the information across. Now, as part of that cinematic, you will have seen this piece of equipment at work. We needed to fertilize our crops, no surprise there. But they also all had weeds in the field, so we needed to spray them. Now, a good friend of the channel, Farmer Donkey, did some testing with precision farming, and he found that liquid fertilizer was a more cost-effective way of fertilizing your crops. And we needed to spray all the weeds anyway, so I thought, well, you know what, this might be a good time to move to a liquid fertilizer setup, because I kind of had that in mind long term anyways. So what I did is I sold off our solid fertilizer rig that used to sit right here in front of us, and I monitored the used market until the very last day when we needed to get our fertilizing and weeding done. Hoping that I would get a used self-propelled sprayer to come up. But I was not that lucky. So what I did is I used the money from our solid rig and I put it as a down payment on this self-propelled sprayer, or sorry, this pull behind sprayer, because basically it's a third of the cost of, a self-propelled. And I did a lease to own on it because I didn't know how long it would be before we'd have the opportunity to get a self-propelled. But as it turns out, there is a gently used self-propelled sprayer in the market right now. So we're going to make this switch because although it's got the same size boom, and I think it actually has the smaller tank, it actually operates at twice the speed in the field for spraying as this. And we are starting to get, bigger fields, and as you will see shortly, more fields. So I am going to make that switch now. And so we're going to basically do the same thing. Now, if we go and look in here at our hire purchase screen, you will see that we still owe $118,000 on this. Now, I put down about $45,000, I think it was, something like that, and we've made a few payments. It was a 60-month term to start. Now, we do have to pay all the financing. So when we go and, well, actually, you know what? Let's do it this way. We'll settle this early. So we'll pay out the $118,000. So now it is entirely ours. And if we go into our portable shop menu here, because it's just a handy way to do it, we will repaint it. And now you can see we can sell it for $164,000. So we're going to sell it. So we'll be down a little bit. Like, so we end up paying all of the financing fees when we do it that way. But now we're up to $805. And what we're going to do is go into the shop. And here we will find our sprayer. It's 40% off. It only has, I think, 7 hours on it. So we're going to go in and customize it. We're going to put it to the maximum. Whoops, already had it there. Maximum working width. We want the sensors. We want see and spray and pulse modulation. And I've already talked to Matt because it is nearly new. He's going to allow us to lease it. So what we're going to do is we're going to put that money back down. We'll actually put 20% down. End up being a little bit more. It's fairly pricey. It's going to let us finance it over a longer term. And with option 4, that's just the largest bubble, we're only paying $1,700 a month, which is just a little bit more than we were paying on the other sprayer. And so we're going to order that up, and that will be delivered to us very shortly. So when it arrives, I'll bring you back in and we'll take a look. See you in a minute. Well, our new sprayer has been delivered. You can see it looks just like new. Of course, I guess it should. It only has 7 hours on it. Now, I did a little research on this brand. I wanted to know if it was available in the United States. And actually not able to confirm that either way, but it is available in Canada. So I figured, well, you know what? If it was available in Canada, there's a good chance one could have snuck across the border, even if it wasn't sold in the States. That's what we're going to go with anyways. This is made in Eastern Europe. I want to say Czechoslovakia. You know, I should have written it down because my short-term memory is so bad. But as it turns out, they actually use some parts from Claas in it. And you'll see it actually has a Claas steering wheel in it. So obviously that's one of the parts they use. But anyways, that's what we're going to go with. Like I said, I don't think the tank is as large as what that John Deere one was, but it travels across the field at twice the rate with the same size boom. So it'll cut our spraying time in half. But that's not the only thing I wanted to do here before next month arrives. If we go in and look here, if we look at our loan situation, you can see we took a loan out for $500,000. We have paid basically $7,000 of that off. We are going to take another loan here for $400,000 this time. Mortgage that over 35 years. We'll take that loan out. And if we look in our shop menu, here's a good place to see the money. That takes us up to $1.14 million. And we are going to go buy ourselves a new field. And what we're going to buy is this one right here. It's got soybean in it. It's just under $1 million. We're going to go ahead and buy that one. Come on. There we go. And if you take a look at the map, you can see it is pretty much dominated by soybean this year. And with that purchase leaves us with $178,000, which should be enough to get us through to contract season. Now, there is more I need to update you on. Basically how our money got to $700,000 and specifically what work went on. But you know what? We're going to do that from the seat of a harvester or some piece of equipment anyways during harvest next month. So for now, I am going to leave you there and we will catch up with you next month when harvest is on the go. So we'll see you then. Hello everyone, welcome back to the farm. We're in day 2 of harvest season here. Yesterday we focused on getting our soybeans harvested and we did get that accomplished. And we put 366,000 liters of soybean into our bin. So that will represent like $700,000 when we go to sell them at peak price. Then we moved over here to start on the soybean harvest contracts we had. And we're here on field 15, the largest of the, well, actually any of the contracts we have, but the largest soybean contract. And if we look at the map here, you can see it is this large field right here, and it's right by the sell point. So Jim and I are just looking after that. Obviously, I'm running the harvester this morning. Jim's looking after the carting and driving the semi over to the sell point. And then Rebecca is doing some baling. And Amanda, the hoeing queen here on the farm, she's set up on a hoeing contract. Rebecca's baling on our field. I should have pointed that out. And Bill has got the big dog out, and he's doing a cultivating contract this morning. So we're going to take and check in and see how they're making out here in just a little bit. But before we do that, I need to bring you up to speed on what happened while you were away. Now, if you've been following along, you may recall I said I was going to bring you back in when we were going to do some rolling because we were going to purchase a new roller. Well, the reason I didn't do that is because I changed my mind. Because those contracts you saw that we had at that time, which was the one seeding contract and then the two smaller hoeing ones, were the only contracts we ended up getting that month. So I decided that we'd just stick with the roller we had. I just sent Bill and let him go round and round on that big field. So I didn't end up buying that because after buying out the fields to make that large field that we had done last episode, I just didn't think it was a prudent thing to do. It would have pretty much wiped us out to get that big roller I was looking at. So that's why we didn't do that. Now just let me get swung around here and lined back up, and so I can look at my notes, and I'll bring you up to speed on what other contracts we did. Maybe I'll give you an external. Oh, I didn't line up there very good, did I? There we go. That's a little better. All right, so now let me take a look at my notes here. So, like I said, we had just that in April, that sowing contract and the two hoeing contracts. That no, that didn't even amount to 50,000. Then in May we had another small hoeing contract that was only worth 10. And June is when we sold our soybeans, and we got just a tick under 300 grand for our soybeans in June. So out of that 700,000, that's where a lot of it came from. Then in June, we got the two harvest contracts for the two barley fields. And if we look at the map here again quick, they were this field 10 and field 2 that you can see dominating your screen here. They had barley in them. Now, interestingly, this year the AI went and put barley back in 10, but they put wheat in field 2 this time. Anyways, last time the AI put barley in, we didn't get the contracts, but this time we did. So we got the harvest contracts and then the follow-on cultivating contracts. And so that netted us just around 225 for those. And then we had nothing in oh, sorry, I missed one. And in July, we had a hoeing contract come up on, or sorry, I should say a plowing contract come up on field 6, which is that long, skinny field. And that's actually where Amanda is now working on hoeing. It did have corn in it, but the owner must have taken it off early for forage, so we plowed that field and did rock picking. That didn't even amount to 20,000. And in August and September we had nothing, and so that brings us to here. So that's how we got from about 150,000 to just over 700,000. And like I said, half of it, or almost half of it, was from the sale of our soybeans. So if we've reached the point now where the farm income is equal to the, I see something off in the distance there that I don't think I should be seeing. Okay, I'll have to check into that. Sorry, kind of threw me for a loop there. Oh no, sorry. It's okay. I kind of forgot where I was. it's I saw the bale wagon sitting there off in the distance. I thought, what the heck is it doing out there? But no, we're right beside the farm here too. Sorry about that. Anyways, as I was saying, we've reached the point here. I gotta get my pipe out. We're just about full. Where farm income is equal to, and I think it actually we're very close to surpassing what the contract income is. So kind of going forward, I'm going to focus less and less on what we make on the contract side, uh, just because the farm income is now starting to become the significant portion of our income, because we had the dried corn that we sold, and it was not insignificant amount, but I just don't recall what it was. This year we've got, like I said, $700,000 in dried soybeans that we're going to sell, and we're going to have some dried corn, although we don't have that much corn in the ground. And next year, with that new field, expect that to increase. Is he going to run into me? Jim, what are you thinking? I don't. You didn't have enough coffee this morning, or what, buddy? Oh, Jim. Yeah. Anyways, back like to what I was saying. I'm just going to focus on less on what we get on contracts and just note things of significance. But I think while Jim unloads us here, this is a good spot to pause. Let's go check out what everybody else is doing here on the farm. Well, we're riding along here with Amanda in the 6R. She's got the hoe on it. As you can see, this is the field that had corn in it. I mentioned that we got the plowing and stone picking contract on it. Well, now we've got a hoeing contract on it this month. Amanda really likes doing the hoeing work. I think because it's a smaller piece of gear, easy for her to handle. She's in our old 6R here. This is the tractor that we have the most hours on. It's one I've kind of got earmarked. I'm keeping an eye out to see if we can't replace it. This is getting... is it going to make it this time? This is a field where the AI worker has a little trouble sometimes and gets hung up. Anyways, yeah, it's nudging on 100 hours now. I think it's at 98 something. So... done a lot of work for us. Now, if we look across there, we should see Rebecca baling. We'll catch up with her in just a second. She's baling on our large soybean field. And again, we're just going to sell that straw off. Yesterday, she baled up our soybean field down by the shop. The bales are just sitting on the field. Got to get those picked up so we can start doing some field work on there. It's not unusual for the AI to get hung up on this field, but it looks like this time they're going to be okay, hopefully. It's usually on the headland they get messed up. Actually, down at the other end where it narrows, when they turn, sometimes they'll hook the trees. But we'll leave Amanda to it because this is going really well so far. Let's go visit Rebecca, and hopefully there won't be any excitement over there. Catch everybody in a second. We've jumped in with Rebecca here. Actually, we just had a quick view of Amanda running off down there. And we actually may catch a glimpse of Bill, who is cultivating in the field across the road. We'll see. But we'll go and visit him in a minute. But we are using this 7810 this year for our baling tractor. It's got enough horsepower. It wasn't getting a lot of use, and it seems to work just fine. And what that means, that allows me to keep the 8R on the cart, which is a little faster in the field to chase the combine and that than the 8RT we were using. I really do like this baler. Now, we didn't get a lot of extra work done. Actually, we didn't do anything outside of our own fields yesterday. We had all hands on deck to get our soybeans in. Oh, nice. Didn't get hung up this time. There was Amanda, you seen on the go there? Oh yeah, and you can just see Bill off through the mist there. Now, we didn't get the harvest contract on that field. That's the only one we didn't. You know what? And I think we'll look when we're over that. I can't remember if that was corn or soybean. But in general, there wasn't a lot of corn on the map as it turned out this year. We had more corn than, or sorry, more soybean than corn in, and it seemed like everybody else did. I think that might have been a soybean field. But that actually means it's going to be a pretty easy harvest season time-wise, as long as the weather holds, because soybeans are quicker for us to get done, and we only have that one large field of soybeans to do. Then the other fields are smaller. It's actually, if you look at the map here, yeah, that was soybeans. We have the contract on 15. Oh, we don't have a contract on field 3. Huh, that's interesting. I didn't notice that. Thought we had all the fields in. So we've got 17 to do after field 15 and 12, so they're not very large. And then our corn that we're left at, 4 is a fairly good size, but these other two, or other, I guess there's 4 fields up here, aren't very big. They won't take us long to knock out. So in the time we have available to us, should not be an issue. Again, as long as the weather holds, but it's forecasted to be pretty decent actually. So yeah, you can see the old 7810 just chugged right along on this job. Not a problem at all. This is our loading tractor, and it's the one that I plan on using, like when we're doing the feed work for the cattle and stuff. So even though it doesn't get a lot of use, that's why I've kept it and hung on to it. It's actually one of my favorite tractors in the game, to be honest with you. Really like this. A little bit more of a classic look to it. So we get a little money from these bales too. I think it's about $12,000 a load that we get. So we're not keeping any right now. We will when we get our cattle, and we'll have to keep some. But and as the farm gets bigger, we may not be able to keep up with all this. Baling. We may not be able to bale up all of the straw, but for now it's not a problem. Oh, you know what? And I didn't do that with Amanda. I forgot, but we should take a look inside. Take an inside view at this here operation. girl just motors right along, no problem at all. A little bit of a rough ride, as you can see. Now the girls do like working with the smaller gear. They tend to leave the big equipment to the men folk. All right, well, you know what? I think that's enough time here. Let's jump over and see what Bill is up to. So catch up with you in a minute. Well, we'll start out riding along with Bill in the cab so I don't forget. Of course, he's in the big dog, and he is pulling our 18-meter cultivator to do this job. So it knocks it out pretty quickly. Now we'll probably get him to pick up the bales after this on the field that Rebecca has baled up, so we can start working on our fields this fall. We'll have him continue to do that while Jim and I focus on the harvests that are near the sell point, and then once we need another hand to manage the truck when we got to drive greater distances, then we'll have to pull him off that. But maybe we can convince one of the girls to take over, depending on where we're at. But it's not as big a deal if we don't get all our fields prepped in the fall, because we've got spring as well we can work on them. But of course, the more we can get done, the better off it is. Now, let's take a look from the outside, see the big guy at work. It's no secret, if you follow my channel, I like these two track tractors. And if they're green, I like them even better. Of course, truth be told, the Fendt one's green, and I don't mind it at all. So it holds true too for that particular brand. But this is not the last large tractor I have planned for here on the farm. At some point in the future, another one will be joining us. You can see the nice fall colors here. Does look nice. All right. Well, you know what? We better get back to our harvest here. We've taken enough of a coffee break for early in the morning, so I'll catch up with you back at the harvester. See you in just a minute. Well, we're back here at our post, back harvesting again. Now, I do want to mention the length of time that I spent with each of the other workers here on the farm in no way reflects any favoritism. When I looked, I noticed Bill got pretty short-changed. But, he is a grumpy old codger. Who wants to hang around with him anyways? Although he's pretty happy when he's in a deer, I have to say. But before we leave you on this episode, I just wanted to share kind of some thoughts on the direction. Now, this literally is just what I've been thinking about. So we currently have $1 million loan, and as you can see, our fields were getting into very large purchases required. Of course, our farm revenue, as I did mention, is going up, but we've pretty much almost always had to borrow money. So one of the things I thought about was running for a year off camera and just using all our funds to pay down the loan, rather than we could carry on the way we are, because we own a lot of land. The amount of money we can borrow keeps increasing. We could carry on borrowing what we need to keep expanding. Then at the end of the challenge, when we have a large farm, work like crazy, probably off camera again, run a year or two or whatever it takes to pay the loan down, because we need to be debt free. So I've been thinking about that. No decision there. And then for expansion, getting to the point where I'd like to start running a 2-harvester setup. And what I'm pondering there is, do we start off with 2 S7s like we have, or do I upgrade to an S9 and then a little later upgrade to 2 S9s? Because when we move to the second harvester, we're also going to have to do something about our carting situation. So it's an expensive proposition, and so I'm pondering the timing on that versus the continued expansion of the farm. Now, some of that might too be dictated by what shows up in the used market. There may be something show up that I can't live without, that pushes us into the 2-harvester scenario. So those are just some things I'm pondering, thinking about while I'm sitting here harvesting, how we proceed on here. We'll do some or all of those things. Well, I guess we'll do all of them at some point, but it's the order in which we do them is what I'm thinking about. So if you all have any thoughts on that, what you'd like to see, you can always put it down in the comments, and I will take that into... Oh, I'm actually driving this thing. I'm not just tagging along here. You can see some of the straw we need to bale off in the distance there. So Rebecca's going to be busy for a little while. That's on our new field. Of course, we got to do all the start from scratch prep on that. We've got to scan it, do its initial lime, all that kind of good stuff. And I'm sure I mentioned before, kind of my intention is where we have soybean one year, corn in the next, we'll alternate like that. Although we may need to, on one field, do like make corn on corn or soybean on soybean, something like that, just to balance our fields out, so that we have kind of a better balance throughout the year on corn and soybean. Because right now we're heavily leaned one way or the other. Our harvester's getting a few hours. It's up well over 50 hours on it. We've done a lot of work with this girl. Like I mentioned earlier, I think this is going to be a fairly relaxed harvest. It looks like the weather is good, and because it's predominantly soybean focused, we can get the soybeans off much quicker than we can the corn. Corn's a smaller header, combine fills faster. There's more carting required. But if we get a real corn heavy year, that's when we really could use another harvester. But on a year like this, we're doing just fine. And I guess the only way an X9 would help us on a heavy corn harvest year is the increased hopper size to be a little bit less stopping and unloading. Well, I don't think it's significantly larger than this harvester. I'd have to look. Yeah, maybe we'll finish off with one more look on the inside. So we head down the field. So once again, we'll do all of the rest of the fall prep work off camera, and I'll bring you in the spring when planting is kicking off again, and of course share what our crop plan is, look at some of that equipment again, and kind of this. Did we fill up already? Oh, must have been a better yield in this part of the field. All right, well, I'll get this organized here. I will leave you there for this episode. Just get backed up here out of the way so theoretically Jim doesn't have to run over the crops. Yeah, so we'll see you in spring, and we'll see where we're at money-wise there, and what we're going to do with it, and what kind of some of the things I'm thinking about. So if you're still with me, I really appreciate you watching. If you haven't already, I encourage you to hit that like and subscribe button. And if you want to see when other content like this lands, hit that old notification bell. But for this episode here on Monteith, it's Farmer Murphy signing off.